The year is 2850. Society has progressed beyond the need for flying cars or artificial intelligence as we have found the newest exploitable substance by big corporations. Oh, wasn't expecting that. Okay, it doesn't look bad. Oh god, oh no! Alter Echo.
Vanishing into the void of games, never to get a sequel or escape from their original console.
There I am, Gary, there I am!
I came across this game while looking for games to use for comparison to Scalar, and to get a sense of what was achieved with transformation mechanics around the time Scalar came out. I knew nothing about it save for the cool title and the 5 minutes of gameplay I put in to see how it looked and felt, but I had to put it off so I could finish the Scalar video. But it was always in the back of my mind, with the sleek biomechanical creature design on the cover, what that might entail in gameplay, the vibrant intro level with cellular textures flowing across every surface, and the possibility of an interesting plot with all of this sci-fi distant future imagery. Okay, seems like the game has a few things going for it at least. The visuals, gameplay possibilities, the premise, and the fact that this game is not even a memory for people nowadays. It's gotta be a hidden gem, right?
That's really nuts.
Alter Echo is an even lesser known PS2/Xbox title due to its developer, Outrage Games, only having one other game before being closed down by its parent company, THQ, shortly after Alter Echo's release. Well, that doesn't bode well, does it? The game released on August 19th, 2003, with possibly one of the lamest POW covers I've seen. The North American cover, on the other hand, is physically as flashy as the game's combat, and visually a representation of the game overall. Not a lot to it, save for the one thing it's got going for it, and that one thing looks a lot cooler on paper than it does in the final game. When shown at E3 2002 and 2003, it seemed like quite the innovative and ambitious title, a uniquely alien and abstract world inspired by aspects of microbiology and supposedly paintings from artist Rodney Matthews. Well, according to this IGN article anyway, I don't actually know where they got that information, but these are so interesting and out there on their own that I wanted to include them. The combat was fast-paced and varied and was compared to Devil May Cry and Soul Reaver, and of course the game's selling point, its real-time transformation mechanic. I'm sure that was all impressive back in the early 2000s, but let's take a look at the game nearly 20 years later and see how it holds up. Or maybe all of that ambition was too much and the game was never that good in the first place. In the future, that is Alter Echo, there are people called Shapers with psychic abilities. They can manipulate a substance called Multiplast in any way they want, as long as they can imagine it. But it's only found in one place, a planet called Proteus that's entirely made of Multiplast. We're then introduced to every character in the game in this sequence and oh no. They look like a combination of bootleg action figures and those suits from Spy Kids? We got Stome, a Murica type of guy who is so badass that he has a lit cigar in his mouth for every situation. Arana, the girl. Paavo, the game's main villain. Kes and Garen, the goons Paavo never interacts with. And of course our protagonist Nevin, who will demonstrate soon enough how much of a dork he is. But not in a lovable kind of way. Paavo supposedly died 3 years before, but actually had his death faked by a company called IMS so he could be sent to a remote research post on Proteus. He would spend those 3 years experimenting with Multiplast until he created sentient creatures that would make IMS rich. We all know Sephiroth, right? The library in the mansion, the Nibelheim incident. Yeah, that went about as well as you think. 2 months before our main characters would be sent to go check on Paavo.
Began an experiment to create a new radical multiplast with supercharged biocircuitry.
That's impossible.
Not for Paavo. He reported success 3 days ago. Called the new stuff Echoplast.
Then, in the most cliche villain fashion possible, he exposes all of his plans and boasts about how powerful he is to the only people that can stop him. As this is happening, Paavo sends Kes and Garen to shoot down the gang ship, and oh my god, why do your hands look like that? Nevin goes hurtling out of the ship, and now is where I start to dissect this cutscene, because oh boy, this may be indicative of how the game will go from here. If you've got a story that's set in a world with different rules than our own, then you've got to explain some things first. How did Shapers and Plast come to be? Did something happen, or is that just the nature of this future and we just have to accept it? And this is the future of our world, right? In the year 2850 AD, that's the second line we hear in the intro. Are Shapers born, or can you just train to become a Shaper? Can you really do anything with Multiplast if it's only limited by your imagination and you can't make something? Just think of something else. Or maybe maybe it also depends on your level of finesse with manipulating multiplast. I honestly don't know. What is this company that Stome mentions? IMS. What does IMS even stand for? Are Stome, Nevin, and Arana only some of the people that work for them, or are all shapers associated with this company? Why do we need to go so far as to stage Paavo's death? When we send astronauts into space, we don't tell everyone they're dead, they're just doing their job. Did no one check on Paavo at all in the 3 years he was on Proteus? Stome says that Paavo reported his results, so they have communication. I guess they just left him on red? Duh, we don't care. Capitalism is still around somehow, so just keep making us money. I mean, clearly they don't care because they sent 3 people, one of them a total rookie, to go in when they know he's the greatest shaper there is, and after he sent that bonkers transmission. Who even are Stome, Nevin, and Arana? Who are any of these characters? We literally know nothing about them except for their names in this mysterious company that doesn't reveal much either, and I just... We're 5 minutes in. We are 5 minutes in! And I'm addressing all of this now because literally none of it is ever talked about again. Not in gameplay, not in cutscenes, not in the ending, not even in the videos included under the extras in the menu. I mean, sure, sometimes in media it can become really tiresome to be spoon-fed every piece of world building, and perhaps some room should be left to interpretation. But they chose to drop what they did here and then just never do anything with it. You either tell a story or you don't. Okay, maybe things will get a little better once we actually get into gameplay.
What the hell?
Oh yeah, did I mention this game is rated teen just so we could throw a few mild curses and try to have a somewhat mature tone? I mean, it doesn't really add to anything, it's just there. Nevin wakes up surprised to be alive, and a disembodied voice tells Nevin that it saved him. That's Echo, the Echoplast. Yeah, that special multiplast Paavo created is sentient and sprawling across every level. Even the suit Nevin has, it's quite literally made of the Echoplast's flesh.
From your what?
Though we could talk more about how that impacts the visuals and level design later. A series of tutorials explains the combat mechanics and some of the ways the game will throw enemies at you. Nevin's sword form, one of the 3 forms his new Echoplast suit comes with, has 3 types of attacks. A basic light attack, a stronger heavy attack, and a juggle that throws enemies in the air. Stringing together combos of your various attacks to keep a chain going for as long as possible is how you're intended to go about combat. The longer chain you have, the more plasm you earn and get to spend on later upgrades. Trap nodes are also introduced, a device that ends up being a signal to the player that, hey, there's gonna be a set bunch of enemy waves here that you have to beat to progress. Have fun, don't die! Though at least here it has more of a purpose since trap nodes also control some doors or switches. And you'll need as much plasma as you can get if you want to afford anything or even max out your arsenal. Plasm mostly comes from enemies, it's not usually something found hovering around or inside destructible objects. Spawn nodes are a thing too, though they'll spawn enemies endlessly unless you destroy them. And with that is the end of the first level. This game's structure is a bit weird. There are 50 levels including boss fights, but don't worry, we're not going to talk about all of them. I say it's weird because of the way that the levels end, and none of them ever really feel distinct from one another, but we could talk about that once we actually get into level design. A couple levels later, we get the first form, the gun form.
What the hell have you done to me?
A slow-moving mech equipped with a rapid-fire gun. One of the good things about forms in this game, though, is that none of them feel any more useful than the other. Sure, the later stealth form and standard sword form are better for the more frequent close-quarters combat, but the gun form is still needed. Some enemies are impossible to get to and must be shot down, and other times regular attacks aren't enough to break down certain walls that you shoot through these orange turrets. The turrets are okay, purely for how intense the shots feel compared to everything else, and even while you're standing there taking hits, it never seemed like dying on them was an issue. The gun form also has grenades, which can come in handy for big groups of enemies, and an upgrade that turns your bullets into a big stream of lightning, so that's cool, I guess. The very next level, we are given the stealth form, which might be the coolest thing in this game, if I'm being honest. Some aspects of it did get lost going from the cover art to the in-game model, which kinda sucks. But I get it, sometimes things have to be compromised because of console limitations, so I'd still like to take a closer look at this art for a bit. I like this kind of dark maroon color, or deep purple depending on what you're looking at, as opposed to the gray in-game, though that might fit better with the biomechanical ideas the game has. I've already mentioned how sleek the design is overall, but goddamn is it also built. This thing could fuck you up. The eyes went from being long and narrow and closer together along with the shape in the middle, which could give off a sort of insect look. Or they simply appear as eyes to make this creature look menacing and give a glimpse to this purple energy pulsing within. The in-game version has these beady little eyes that are far apart and don't connect with the purple shape in the middle at all. But it is still cool because enough of its traits from the art were transferred to how it plays. The way this thing moves is so erratic and animal-like. Its idle animation has a fluid motion to it, just kind of waggling his whole body, raring to go, ready to pounce. It scuttles up and down walls like an angry gecko, pounces on enemies, it slaps the ever-loving shit out of them. it could get an upgrade to snap necks. The abilities that come with stealth form are about what you'd expect. A prehensile tongue to grab pickups and enemies so you can juggle and combo them, temporary invisibility to sneak past enemies or turrets, and being able to crawl on stealth paths or pound snubs to get to new areas or cross gaps. Pound snubs can be inconsistent in some spots, but wall climbing is pretty alright. Echo gives us more exposition after we get used to our new stealth form. Typically with Multiplast, its biocircuitry is microscopic, but Echo is huge. Its nervous system spreads across the planet, converting regular plast to Echoplast on contact. Its major nerve fibers run underground, and the ones Echo still has control over are golden. Paavo will try to shape these nerves to do his bidding throughout the game. Those sections are called master nodes, but we'll get to them later. Right now what we're looking at are smaller sync nodes that are supposed to give us control of the Echoplast. I do not like these. You know, the puzzles in the original Rack trilogy, right? Those quick puzzles that were needed to progress, required some level of skill and trial and error to figure out, and were actually fun and rewarding because they were never frustratingly difficult but still a good challenge? Okay, yeah, take that same idea, but strip it of the fun, because instead of using skill, it's based on reaction time. Using the action buttons for left, right, up, down, you press in time with the bottom bar to follow the path and connect however many icons you need for that sync node. It also gets faster with every move you make, so the longer they are, the easier it is to fuck up. They are used all throughout the game to open paths and doors, so they can't be avoided. And there are so many of them, it just got really annoying and... Hold on. Oh. I guess you can improve your reaction time, but that's not gonna happen by doing these fucking things every level. And that's not even it. This mechanic is the base for another combat mechanic, time dilation. Echo gives this to us after asking Nevin to help free it from Paavo, and I don't really know how this is the thing that gives us an edge against the supposed greatest shaper of all time, but whatever. If your time dilation gauge is filled, you can activate time dilation and go into the reaction minigame. There's no set path, so all you have to do is make the longest chain you can and hit all the enemy icons to unleash a powerful attack. Well, there's no set path in your sword form anyway. The minigame and attack you do changes depending on what form you're in, but I gotta be honest, I only ever saw 2 of them because the stealth form's super long path just to hit one enemy is not it. I don't mind it though. I avoided it at first because I wanted to stay away from the minigame as much as possible, but it's a bit easier since there's no set path and you don't lose energy from the gauge if you fail to hit a single enemy. It can really come in clutch when you're fighting a bunch of enemies at once.
I did it!
Now we get to the first master node, which is a room filled with Paavo's enemies and his insane drivel, but more importantly, a way to upgrade the Echoplast suit. Every time you free a master node, you can buy stuff at the shop. New moves for each form, new swords and guns, and upgrades for all of your gauges. And it is only every time you free a master node. It becomes a bit of a problem mid-game when you go for hours without seeing a master node, so you could be stuck with a limited moveset against frequent new enemy types. That is, if you spend a lot on health upgrades like I do. Obviously, that's more so a me problem as someone who was interested but unable to get very deep into the combat and thus became incredibly exhausted and frustrated with it by the end. It's probably the most difficult thing for me to explain about this game. I mean, it seems really varied, right? You have different attacks you can perform between each form, there are a bunch of enemy types such as ones that will straight up block attacks if you spam, and others who can only be damaged with one kind of form. You can switch between forms mid-combo, and it's encouraged to do so with specific moves, doing things like hitting an enemy with your tongue in stealth form, switching sword form to juggle them, then switching back to gun form to continue juggling with gunshots, and finally back to sword form when they fall back down. It's fast-paced and satisfying enough, and maybe it's that kind of combat that's easy to pick up but difficult to master. It could be as shallow and button mashy or as complex and skill-based as you like. It's so hard to say because I think this is the only crutch the game has, and I don't know what to tell you. That's the kind of player I am, and I at least know there's depth and fun in there to be appreciated. Okay, no. Pause the video for a second. I cannot continue with this. I gotta go off script for a second. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna be real with you, Chief. I don't know what the fuck to do about this section anymore because it's already been established that I am bad at games, right? Like that's not a joke. Well, I mean, yeah, of course it's a joke. It is a joke I will absolutely bring up because it's funny to joke at my own expense. Have you ever seen someone play Dark Souls for 4 hours and not only did they attempt to level grind, they couldn't get past the Taurus demon? Funniest shit I've ever seen. Anyway, even if I put like hundreds of hours into a single game, right? I am still bad at it. It doesn't matter what game I play, what genre. I am just bad at games in general, okay? We got that established? Okay, good. I'm having some trouble distinguishing what here actually works. Like, if the problem is me being bad, or if the game is bad. And I don't want to fucking be the guy that's like, you know, I'm bad at the video game, so therefore the video game itself must be bad. Like, no. So I'm just gonna point out the things that troubled me during my own playthrough, okay? Okay? Good! I am never going to pretend like it's a fact that an aspect of a game is bad because I can't fully grasp it. I also know that there's plenty of bullshit with it though. Unless I miss some upgrade, it's not even worth checking at this point. Your shield is your only defensive option. I'm more of an instinctively dodge like mad just because something is approaching me kind of person, so that was a bad sign for me, but I figured I'd just get used to it. There is no feedback for anything. What I mean is it's very easy to die because you can't even make out what's going on. No knockback on hits, except for when something dies, even with damage sound effects, and it doesn't help that Nevin hardly flinches when he gets hit. The camera is a problem all its own, being so close to your back that you can't see everything around you, but I'll save the details of that for later. I promise it's important. I would also say that things move really fast, and I know, it's a hack and slash. Of course it's going to be like that. But the recipe of all these things together is just not working. It's too fast, too much happening, and not enough being conveyed to me. God, Okay, it's not fair because this game came out in the early 2000s, and I'm gonna make a comparison here for a second. Kingdom Hearts came out a full 2 years after this game, and I hate to even mention it in the same breath as Alter Echo, but the more I played, the more I couldn't help but think, why does this not just take notes from Kingdom Hearts 2? A farther away camera that doesn't constantly need to be swung behind my back, clearly telegraphed enemy attacks, actual knockback from getting hit, more defensive options. For God's sake, just make it so that dying legitimately feels like it's just my bad instead of some random bullshit I couldn't even see or control. I'm okay. At least the weapons are pretty cool because their visual and sound effects change when they get upgraded. Paavo also takes away your gun in stealth form here, but combat is perfectly manageable without them, and you get them right back, so I don't know what that was about. Echo also has a line here about designing fortified versions of the forms, and that made me hope that the new forms would look different or be more powerful or something, but nope. It means nothing. And speaking of Echo, I wasn't planning on talking about it this early, but I suppose since we're introduced to teleporters here, we can talk about it now. Echo's powers are contrived and never explained. Remember Arana and Stone from the intro? I already don't, but Echo tells Nevin that they survived the crash but landed far apart from each other. It then asks Nevin who he wants to rescue first. If it can just teleport Nevin to places using teleporters that it made, or using it or Nevin's own will multiple times in later cutscenes, why can't it just teleport Arana and Stone to Nevin? Is it because Nevin has the suit? Give suits to everybody then. You gave one to Nevin, no problem. Is that because Nevin happened to land where he did? Is that also why he chooses to help Nevin specifically, but leaves Arana and Stone to fend for themselves? This game only gets worse and worse if you think about it for more than 3 seconds. Nevin decides to go rescue Arana first. But, why is she blue? She was definitely wearing an orange suit in the cutscene, and no one gets an Echo suit but Nevin, so someone fucked up. Or she just figured, hey, I'm here on Proteus, might as well make myself look cool while I'm fighting for my life, and gave herself some plast wings.
Well, I've always wanted to have to save the human race.
Now's your big chance.
Well, let's go do the hero thing.
Now that we're with Arana, the next step is to get blueprints so we can head to a spaceport with a grow node so that Nevin can shape a spacecraft. Yeah, that string of words didn't really make sense to me either, just go with it. Some parts of the level with her are kind of cool. The blue is different, there's rain here, and the skybox kind of looks like the surface of water. I dig it. It's not groundbreaking or anything though, and with that is a good time to talk about the visuals and level design, I think. None of them ever feel distinct. The only way to check what a level is called is to catch it on the save screen, and there's no way to replay levels unless you make a separate save at the start of one. There are obviously not a lot of saves here. Levels also end with an awkwardly sudden fade to black every time, and if you're not paying attention, it could be a really weird blinkety-miss-it kind of thing. But really, the indistinctness comes from the visuals and level design itself. The idea of this entire game world being made of a living, breathing entity right down to the ground you walk on and the areas you go to? Fuck, dude, that sounds pretty raw to me. I want to see what the inner workings of an alien entity's consciousness and manifested physical form might look like. We've got a lot of vibrant colors, those flowing textures again, a lot of bulging, muscle-like platforms and bizarre-looking structures, some neat skyboxes, kind of cool shots of mountains in the distance, and it all kind of looks like that. I mean, it's all initially interesting, but what's the difference between these levels? Could you tell where they are? It becomes especially difficult when many levels have you doing the same things with little if any variation in non-combat stuff. And the levels aren't actually open, they're mostly straight paths that disguise themselves that way only because you can see the distant mountains and paths ahead. This was something I brought up in my Scalar review, how levels felt kind of linear and repetitive due to their structure. After looking at this game, I am so sorry, I take that back. At least there it didn't matter too much because the levels were creative and varied enough to look at, explore, and use your transformations in. And linearity is not inherently a problem. wrong. Not every game should be open world, and a lot of platformers thrive off of having levels designed like that. But here yeah, this is no Ratchet & Clank or Jak and Daxter or even Scalar, not by a long shot. Arana and later Stone are also there to help with puzzles and combat. They'll always follow you and they don't have health, so it's nice to not have another thing to worry about. I say puzzles very lightly though, because they're not really puzzles, they're more or less just obstacles. Anything that's not combat is almost always press this switch to open a door, keep your partner on a button so you can get through a door to open another door, take down the trap nodes, find a sync node to help shape a path forward. Okay, I get it, the combat is this game's main crutch, but Stealthworm's abilities are best suited for platforming type stuff. Just give me something! The music is at least worth a mention though. Overall, I'm not really a fan of the soundtrack which has been playing throughout this whole video. There were a couple, maybe a few songs like this level's theme that I thought were okay, but nothing I'd ever listened to outside of the game. It's not bad, it just kind of blends into the levels as much as they blend into each other, but I can see why some people like it. Early 2000s electronic, maybe experimental stuff, it's definitely different.
Yeah, we coming back for you.
The next few levels are the first encounter with Kess and Garen. Their ship's missiles force Nevin and Arana to be separated, so that probably means we'll see a Master Node to get back to Stone soon enough. Their fight is pretty simple. You both just stand there like bullet sponges, emptying all of your ammo into each other. You hide behind walls when they pelt the arena with missiles, and run to the heal spot if need be. When they're at low health, they'll start blowing up the walls in the heal spot, which is a neat idea. There might be an example I just can't think of right now as I'm writing this, but I kinda wish there were other games that used this kind of idea or made it even more interesting. They end up escaping, and of course we get teleported to another Master Node. Paavo's rambling about how we're just a mere distraction from the Advent and how he wants to create a purified world stripped of consciousness and emotion, and oh hey, Stealthworm's back! Echo tells us that Arana is safe and headed towards Stone, but we can't head to the Grow Node yet because we have to restore power to the spaceport first. Of course. At the start of the next level, Nevin feels the need to stop everything we're doing to remind us what pounce ups are, so I guess now we can actually talk about this dude. You know what? I'll just let the clips play.
Alright, I've made it this far. What have you got for me now?
A gift. Stand atop the dais to receive it.
What's a dais? You know, I used to be a big fan of your work, but you are such a drama queen.
Looks empty.
I've heard that before.
There's even this convenient floater to take us across.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm not suspicious one bit. That's really nuts.
It was just a flesh wound.
Not only is the writing like that, if your attacks aren't working on a certain enemy, Nevin will say it every
Gun form can't hurt this enemy.
single
Gun form can't hurt this enemy.
time.
Gun form has no effect.
I got it the first time, and sometimes I'm just trying to attack one enemy but end up attacking another because you can cycle targets, but it doesn't really help, and you can't stop targeting enemies until they're all defeated, man! Give me a break! Okay, we restore power by making an energy transmitter, but something is breaking the transmission, so we gotta check it out. It's Kess.
I should have known that you were behind this.
If you want to cross the bridge, you gotta pay the toll.
Let me guess, I'm in the exact change lane.
I'll set it for your head on a stick.
Wow, that is so sweet.
Think you're clever blasting my ship out of the air?
Yeah, felt pretty clever.
That Ecoplast suit you're wearing, mind if I try it on? Once I've cut you out of it?
Girl, what are you looking at? I think this was the first level that I really noticed the checkpoint system. It's kinda there. If you fall into water or off of a level where there's no floor, such as some boss rooms, it'll bring you back to the last checkpoint. Otherwise, if you lose all of your HP, you're put back at the start. And it seems like cutscenes being skippable is inconsistent, so have fun. Anyway, Kess is crazy because she's not even doing it for Paavo. She just likes to kill people. She really likes to kill people. She will go out of her way. We go through her actually, not that hard, except when they don't work, pounce an up section, get the energy transmitter going again, and Kess zooms away. This time for our Master Node exposition, the advent that Paavo mentioned last time is actually starting. We don't know what they are yet, but these huge blade-like structures rising up are the cause. Echo senses that Stone is in danger, so we've got to head his way and bring him to the spaceport with us. What about Arana? Are we just hoping she'll catch up despite us having teleportation powers we can use freely? She'll be fine. She got Left 4 Dead once, she can do it again.
Another new drone?
That thing's uglier than my mother-in-law.
What? Okay, now we can actually grab those blueprints we need. Nevin brings up how Paavo is threatening to destroy Echo's consciousness, to which Echo explains that Paavo can't do that since its brain is far underground, the one place that Paavo has no dominion. Paavo created Echoplast, so I don't know why that wouldn't work, but I'm just going to ignore it, because if I think about the story anymore, I think I'm gonna go crazy.
Covering fire!
Two levels go by with rotating lasers, anti-gravity fields operated by sync nodes, stealth paths and invisibility, and teaming up with Stone to get all the blueprints. But Nevin hasn't forgotten about Paavo potentially jumping in. So Stone gives us this fucking wonderful line.
In a situation with this level of pucker factor, you just repeat these affirmations to yourself in a mantra. I'm an invincible killing machine. Can't nothing kill me without asking my permission first.
Well, I'm glad that works for you, Stone.
And we run in to make the ship before Paavo can get there. I thought Arana was supposed to meet us. I don't know what's happening. But Paavo is way ahead of us.
What the Sam Hill?
He's made clones of himself and we have to fight one of them. This fight is a decent challenge. He's fast, so you can't just rush in and attack non-stop. You have to block or dodge a majority of his attacks and find the right opportunity to attack him back. Though, there is one thing in this fight that's strange and exposes another problem I've been wanting to talk about. The camera. It's not the worst one I've seen, but it has a host of issues. It doesn't always seem to keep up when you're fighting a group of enemies and getting attacked from all sides, or even an enemy one-on-one. I mean, I guess this would be the case since these two systems are so closely intertwined, but part of it is from the lock-on system since it targets whatever the hell it wants, and switching just makes the camera whip around unnecessarily. Locked on enemies also seem to lock off whenever they want. Like look at this. Did this happen because the camera started to face away when it, wasn't supposed to do that? You can never quite see as much as you need to either because the camera is so close. Whether that's in combat so you can keep track of what all the enemies are doing, or just to get a better view of your own character model. It's also inverted by default with no way to change it, but that's more of a personal issue. What's weird about the camera in this fight though is this laser attack. About halfway through, Paavo sends out a bunch of lasers to circle the arena. You can't see the lasers coming, so you run with it hoping to keep pace and not touch it. Sometimes that works. Then when the lasers started to get faster, I had to change direction and hop in place over them. That seemed to work at least if my timing was right. Seems like a simple thing that shouldn't cause that much trouble. Well, it doesn't even have to. Turns out, if you point the camera away from where the laser spawns, it just won't spawn. The sound will play, but it's not there unless you look back at it. I swear to God, it's a speedrunning trick for this game. I can't believe how easy it is to both miss and catch that. Oh, right, the plot! Yeah, anyway, Paavo has completely cast away his body at humanity. He just continues to go on and on about all the faults of humanity as a whole, the weakness of the human body and emotion, the awful base and animalistic urges of humans. I almost wonder if they had more in mind for Paavo or if he is just meant to be evil for the sake of it. He has something of a background from the intro, and his complete disgust and hatred for humanity is made very apparent. The voice acting kind of helps too. I think his actor's performance is the best in the game for what that's worth.
Troublesome Echo. When I created the Echoplast, I felt its mind form far underground. I heard its first burbling cries. Snuffed it out then.
Not every villain needs to have a well-written and developed motive or backstory either. Sometimes a threatening presence is all you need. Paavo doesn't have that though. His disembodied voice comes in every once in a while to vaguely suggest his ultimate plans, but it's all generic drivel that keeps telling us, yeah, that guy's lost it and he's evil. I'm not given any reason to care about anything else, so why care about Paavo? But that's enough about him for now. We're about to be overwhelmed by his clones when we get emergency teleported by Echo. Guess we're just gonna leave Stone behind too then. It's a pretty big emergency though. Echo's brain is being attacked. Paavo can't reach the brain himself, yes, but that doesn't mean he can't send in enemies or Kess and Garen to take it out. These levels involve more platforming than the others do, as a trap causes the area to be filled with toxic water. Jumping across high up platforms and pounce nubs, moving platforms in the water, having to lower the water level, that kind of stuff. I'd rather just play Okami. Not before we have to fight Garen though, and oh my god, I think this fight was the final straw for me in this game. Garen drops what is probably one of the dumbest lines in the game.
We don't have to do this. Your boss is totally insane.
think we don't know that? But now he made this new blast. He's gonna be rich. And Kess and me's gonna be rich too. So who cares he's crazy? We gonna be rich.
And oh god, the first phase of the fight starts. Garen's got a few attacks, a cluster of shots that I'm not actually sure can be blocked, I didn't try. The other attacks are a big shockwave if you start spamming attacks, and a strong laser that you hide from behind destructible pillars. This phase is whatever, it's really not long. It's the next phase that bothers me. It starts with a sync node, then climbing into a walled-off area just to have Nevin immediately tell you what to do. There are only 3 paths to climb up, man. It's not like I have many options here. This meathead sits at the top of one of the paths waiting to blast his laser. So you need to climb up with invisibility, shoot him for a few seconds before he can get hit, fall back to the ground, and slowly climb up again. Repeatedly. It might be a random spot, but it was the one that broke me for the rest of the game. I think it might be the culmination of everything involved in this fight. Absolutely boring and repetitive phases, even for someone like me who doesn't acknowledge repetition 99% of the time and enjoys this cursed game. I don't care as long as it's fun. A sync node. The battle on paper not seeming that difficult, it's just that it's drawn out from having 3 phases. Yes, 3, we'll talk about it in a second. And the fact that you can't heal anywhere, and the checkpoint system being busted here, so if you die, then it's back to the start of the boss fight. Being immediately told what to do, which maybe on second thought might have been a good thing since it'll get the battle over faster, but I don't know, isn't this a game where I'm supposed to experiment with combat? And then another phase, which is just the first but without the pillars. It's not worth it, just end it already.
Yes, I'm sorry, but getting dark in here.
Garen! Garen!
I swear, watching every cutscene in this game gives me inexplicable secondhand embarrassment. Now that Garen's dead, we just have Kess to deal with, and oh god, this fight is whatever. I don't care anymore. I mean, Kess is a lot faster than Garen, so it's more fun at least. The most I've got to say is that Kess's voice clips are,
That's smart. God, do you think that's gonna fool me?
And there's platforming? For some reason, and this little gem. Here it is, the crowning awful line of this whole game.
You've done so well. Do you want a cookie?
I'd like for you to shut your face.
I'm dying. Damn you. You expect me to make some big speech about how much I regret what I've done to you and to beg for your forgiveness? You expect me to say I feel bad about my life of crime, all the people I hurt, conned, and killed?
Not really.
Nevin, I must teleport you.
Fine with me.
And as for you, Kess...
What? Wait!
Holy shit, a master node finally! And I can't afford it anymore if I'm going to upgrade my health. Fuck. The exposition this time is that the weird structures in the first level when Echo is being attacked are called seedlings. They are incredibly powerful missiles that Paavo is going to launch into space to eradicate any and all human-inhabited planets. Then the seedlings will spread Echoplast across every one of those planets, creating life with Paavo as its god. While Echo looks for a plan, we're reminded that Stome and Arana exist and we have to go rescue them. A couple of recycled levels later, and we're back at the spaceport with the second Paavo fight. And this happens.
We've got to get Stome out of there.
Arana! Arana!
Let the slaughter commence. Oceans of nuisance.
Nevin.
Arana, no!
Oh my god. could you be any more lazy? I'm sorry, not really, but Arana did that to herself. And Nevin sounds about as distraught as a parent getting their kid away from the cookie jar. The fight is the same as last time, except the clones jump in periodically to force you to switch targets.
I hope that Paavo got 9 lives, I tell you, boy, because I'm gonna kill each and every one of them nice and slow till he's real dead. And I'm gonna enjoy every 9 times I do it.
Good lord, everybody's arms are deformed in this game. Well, shit. Paavo escaped again, so now we have to go directly to his citadel. It's surrounded by an energy barrier, though, so we have to destroy the shield generator. How long is this video now? Oh. Fuck, we've got to start wrapping this up. Have a few co-op levels with Stone, open the door to the shield generator, take care of it with a really simple boss fight, and once again leave Stone behind despite being injured. Go to Paavo's tower. There's a part with another neat idea where you attach enemies to your gun to throw into an energy wall. Go down the final path. Throw in one more boss fight because fuck it, we have a game time quota. It's a Venus flytrap you throw explosive enemies at and then blow up its arm things. Okay, moving on. And Paavo.
I'm sick of your disembodied voice, Paavo. I've played your game long enough. Let's finish this thing.
This fight is one of the lamest things I've ever seen. First phase, you morph into the right form to deflect the different attacks thrown at you, attack Paavo while you can. Rinse, repeat. Second phase is just a nauseating scrolling background with floor collision. Who in their right mind thought this was a good idea? And then fucking, you gotta see this.
I've toyed with you long enough. It's time to bring this little game to an end!
Bring it on.
Oh my fucking god! Are they serious? Are they honestly fucking serious with this? Like, for real? Oh my god, they want to be Ocarina of Time so bad, don't they? I've toyed with you long enough. Time to bring this game to an end. Just throws a fucking volleyball at you. And that's not even it! That's not even it!
You don't make the rules here, Paavo. I do.
If I had not been so frustrated by this game, I would have been laughing my ass off at this. It goes on for 40 straight seconds. It's so over the top and ridiculous that it's not even dramatic catharsis anymore. Like, probably to a kid this would have been so fucking cool, but like, this was seriously this game's attempt at being like badass, you know? Like, this was all that they had.
You flesh, come to me!
Father.
Yes, come to me. I command you.
Father. Paavo. I am free now. Free. You have won, Nevin. You have liberated me. And now you can return home.
Oh my god, it's over? Is it actually over? It's over. I'm free. I don't have to play this game anymore. Funny. I feel nothing. Holy shit, Stone's boots are bigger than Sora's shoes. Okay, so the ending is just sequel baiting because Stone and Nevin leave, but Nevin promises Echo he'll come back to talk about things. There's this thing after too where they tease Arana still being alive and... No. Wait. I just realized something. Did they leave out all the info in the intro and throughout the game with the intention of developing it in the sequel? Oh my god. Imagine being that in over your head and thinking your game is going to be the hottest thing to hit shelves before it's even done. There are very few games that I'd say I outright dislike or even hate. And I hesitate to say it at all because I know there are real people behind them and creative stuff can be really hard no matter who you are. But... ooh, you'd have to pay me to play this game again. It had a promising concept and gameplay and the artistic vision the devs must have had, only to be muddied by a poor attempt at plot and characterization, samey level design, a short game time dragged out by numerous cutscenes and enemy waves, embarrassingly bad writing, and combat that's just okay. I should have just played DMC or Soul Reaver, shouldn't I?
Devil May Cry.
When I was a kid, my
This game was interesting to tackle. Expectations were high coming in, but eventually they fizzled out as problems kept arising and were too blatant to ignore in favor of some other mechanic making it all worth your time. Really, I didn't even expect to have this much to say about it, but now that I have, I hope I never have to touch it again. Oh wait, what about those extra videos that Alter Echo so graciously included? Yeah, I didn't forget about those. It would take too long to show them all together, but they're still interesting to look at. They're on YouTube if you want to see them in full, but we have a trailer more than a year before the game's launch featuring very different character and level designs. Another trailer 7 months before release also featuring different designs but also showing off some gameplay. A story demo trailer which is a bit confusing because what it says doesn't follow with what happens in the game, and they used 2 early versions of designs, so I'm not sure how finalized this was. A making of Alter Echo video that really emphasizes how innovative this game is and gives brief glimpses at concept art. One of the devs also mentions how no one had really pulled off interpolating meshes like how they're used for the on-the-fly transformations, so they deserve credit there at least. They really had faith in this game though. I'm probably biased, but I look at the early trailers and wonder if something possibly went wrong down the line. The sounds of Alter Echo, which has composer Jerry Belangieri explaining how he wanted to make sounds that were sci-fi but not synthetic, and the music being a combo of western and orchestral themes with a techno edge inspired by spaghetti western films of all things. And a video for one of the game's tracks, which is just a milk drop visualizer but not as cool. One more thing before you go, I promise. I'm gonna leave a link below for a presentation given by one of the artists of the game, Josh Foreman. He explains a bit more in detail why Alter Echo's art style might not have resonated with a lot of people and why the game might have been a flop. There's some concept art in there that I couldn't find images of online, so it might be interesting and his channel is worth a look. Okay, are we free to go to the outro now? I think we're good. Peace. Hello, as if I wasn't just talking to you 3 seconds ago. Another video done, and a longer video at that, which is massively exciting. This one actually feels like it went by a hell of a lot faster than the other one, even though there was a whole 3-month period in between the last video and this one, and I am so sorry about that. It's the same issue, so it can only really be repaired with time, and realistically right now, the best thing I can do is make shorter form videos, which is actually what I'm planning to do. My next video, I plan on being incredibly short, because it's about something that I'm not actually sure if you would consider it lost media, but it may as well be because who even knows about it? Like legitimately, I didn't even know it existed until I was looking for something else on a whim and just found it. And I've scoured and there's legitimately like 1 video on it and very little articles on it, no gameplay whatsoever. So it's pretty much just speculation based off of sparse images and trailers and whatnot. And now that it's summertime, I should have a lot more time to finish this video and it should hopefully be done soon. I also want to say, even though it's small, you know, I still appreciated every single comment and like that was on the Scalar video. It makes me really excited to know that there's even one person that enjoys all the effort that I put in, you know. It's kind of weird to say this because obviously the only way for you to hear this would be if the video was out, but I'm very excited to be dropping this video. I hope it's funny. I hope y'all like it. I thought it was funny. I thought it had a few good jokes in there. I hope it was enjoyable, maybe made you think a little bit, or just distracted you for a little bit. Alright, I think that's more than enough from me. I hope whenever and wherever you're watching this video that you are doing well, and hopefully I will do this again soon. Peace.